Greetings and welcome to Bearing the Past Conversation Lounge, a space created to share information about the evolving trends of funeral and memorial planning and customization. Today we will discuss the cremation process with our guest Jahad Ahmad, a 21-year crematory operator. Welcome, Jahad.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. So I'm going to just start with some questions. A lot of people have a lot of questions about cremation. So my first question is, after the deceased person arrives to the crematory, what steps are taken to ensure the person you have is indeed the correct person to be cremated?
Well, it's mandatory that the deceased show up with identification from wherever they came from, hospital, nursing home, funeral home. There has to be an authorization sign from the family or next of kin, and nothing is done without that.
Okay.
And it has to be identified. Someone has to physically view the body
So they have
and
to ID.
sign off that they witness that this person is who we say they are.
Okay. So when you say they have to be ID'd, are they being ID'd by someone at the crematory or a family member?
Usually it's a family member.
Okay.
We don't ID anyone because we don't know them.
Right.
So it has to be someone that knows them.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So I think you kind of answered my next question, but I'm still going to elaborate on it a little bit. If you receive a body with questionable or no identification, what steps are taken?
It's not accepted.
Not accepted. Okay. So
the person that brought the body has to have identification on them. They have to place the identification on them, or it won't be accepted.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what type of caskets or cremation containers are acceptable for cremation?
Anything that's made out of paper or wood is acceptable. Cardboard, materials like that, something that's combustible.
Okay. So combustible. So no metals.
No metals.
Name some of the caskets that are not acceptable. So metal, and what other ones? Like
just metal.
Just metal. So
yeah, it's only
so
metal,
all the wood ones.
All the wood ones
and
are
all
crematable.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So tell us, how long does cremation typically take, and is weight and size a factor?
Weight and size is definitely a factor. It's generally about an hour per 100 pounds.
Okay.
Usually, it can go a little faster or it could go a little slower depending on different factors like how well it's embalmed, or if it's embalmed at all, or anything else that's inside the casket. Because everything is cremated. Whatever's in the casket will be cremated with the body.
Right.
And people like to put trinkets and things like that in there.
So I never thought about the fact that if they're embalmed, it could possibly take longer, maybe, or
yeah, because the body's dry and kind of like in a petrified state, so the fats are, not as oily as they once were.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna let you describe the cremation process from beginning to end. We already kind of covered the identification part, so we can go past that and let you start after you know that body is who it is supposed to be. Then what happens?
Well, they schedule their time for cremation if they want to have a viewing, and if they have a viewing, then the family will be present. If there's no family to be present, the body is received at the crematory. It's authorized by the funeral director, and then it's put in queue for cremation. The body's loaded in the machine. The machine is started and pretty much burns itself until it's finished.
Is it normally set at a certain temperature, or and if so, and I want to know if it's normally set at a certain temperature, and is there like a certain amount of time before you're going to cremate the first body? Like, is it 2 hours that you warm up you get things going, or how does that work?
Well, on a larger body, there's no warm up time because the fats when stuff will start to melt and you can't load a, it'd be very dangerous to load a very heavy person in a hot machine, so you would start them off in a cold machine. There is a warm up time under normal circumstances, and the regulation is 1600 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. So my next question is, can cremated remains be scattered anywhere?
I believe so. I'm not aware of any regulations that say you can't scatter ashes anywhere. They're pretty organic and looks like sand, so it's not like it's anything that's identifiable that these are cremated remains. But you want to check with your local
state.
statutes.
Yeah, because I was hearing. I know that there in certain states you do have to kind of check and find out like what their rules are for that, because it might be somewhere that you can't, or they may have somewhere specific that you can only do it. So that would be what we recommend, right?
We would recommend that.
Yeah. Okay. So so after the body is cremated and the crematory stores it, what type of container is that the cremains are stored in?
Well, they're going to go on some urn of some sort. Or if the family purchased an urn, it'll go directly into that urn. And if they haven't purchased the urn yet, then it'll go into like a plastic black temporary urn.
Okay.
Pretty basic.
Okay. Pretty basic. Okay. That sounds good. Okay. So tell us something you think is important to know before considering cremation.
Well, you just have to wrap your mind around the fact that it's permanent, and after it's done, there's no reversing it.
That's
so
right.
That's about it.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. That people need to know that it's permanent. They need to be sure that that's what they want to do. Because I can't imagine someone changing their mind, trying to change their mind after the process has begun, because there's no way to. Because I'm thinking once you started that machine, you don't stop. No. It does. You don't turn it off, right?
No, you don't turn it off after that.
Okay. Well, you have provided a lot of information, and we are seeing cremation numbers on the rise. Why do you think this is happening, and do you think the numbers will continue to rise?
Well, a lot of people are straying away from like religion and like religious organizations and things like that. So, most people are going for economics, and cremation is several $1,000s cheaper than going to the cemetery. And the cemetery is a separate fee from the funeral home, so it can get pretty costly. And into the tens of thousands of dollars. So most people they're going with the economics, and they want to do what's best for their pockets.
Right, and I think too that I think cremation is more acceptable now. I know where I'm from, no one in my family has ever been cremated, but I do want to be cremated, only because that's what I want. My husband wants to have a service and be buried, and but I don't choose to do that. Or if well, my choices would probably be between cremation and a green burial. No embalming at all. Just put me in the ground in some hay or some wheat or something. Just you know what I mean. I'm okay with that. I just don't think I want to do all that other stuff. Just have a nice memorial service. Yeah, it would be nice. And I'm seeing that the green cemeteries are popping up, so that's giving people some options. So I think we'll get around to talking about that as well. So, Jahad, I just want to say thank you for being here today. Thank you for providing answers to all the questions that I know there's still a lot of questions that people have, but I tried to choose some of the ones that I've been asked, and so I wanted to get answers for those, and we'll have more. If I have others, I'll reach out to you if I need to answer those questions. But I do want to thank you again, and I appreciate you being here today, taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me. If you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Burying the Past, hosted by funeral director Melanie B. This podcast focuses on how the death care industry is changing and how the old conventional way of doing things has become a thing of the past. During the pandemic trends, visions and ideas about funeral and memorial services have made a major pivot, and things have changed in the death care industry. Gone are the days of not having options when it comes to the type of service you want for your loved ones. In each episode, Melanie, she shares inspiring information, frequently asked questions, and insightful interviews with industry professionals and individuals impacted by loss in the DMV. Melanie delves into the intricate tapestry of traditional versus non-traditional funeral and memorial services. With a compassionate approach, each episode of Burying the Past navigates a delicate balance between honoring tradition and embracing change in our collective journey through loss and remembrance.